Picture holding a piece of pocket change that could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That simple quarter in your drawer might be hiding an unexpected treasure. And today we're peeling back the layers on one of the most intriguing modern rarities in U.S. numismatics, the 1993 Washington Quarter. By the end of this segment, you'll know exactly what to look for, why serious collectors covet these examples, and how condition and those elusive mint errors can send values soaring. Let's dive into the story behind the 1993 quarter, starting at the very beginning of its journey from concept to collector's showcase. Back in the early 1990s, the U.S. Mint was still producing the Washington Quarter design introduced in 1932. While most quarters circulated widely for everyday commerce, the Mint struck limited numbers of collector-quality pieces in higher grades and special finishes. The 1993 issue arrived at a time when interest in modern commemorative and error coins was on the rise. That year's quarter followed the exacting specifications of the 1965 to 1998 series: 90% copper, 10% nickel-clad composition, 24.3 millimeters diameter, and the familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse. Yet subtle shifts in demand, combined with an array of mint errors and finish variations, transformed what might have been just another date into a standout for advanced collectors. As you examine a 1993 quarter, the first detail to note is its mint mark. Philadelphia pieces carry no letter, Denver coins show a D, and proof examples from San Francisco bear an S. Regular business strike pieces were plentiful. Over 600 million struck at Philadelphia and around 350 million at Denver, but proof coins from San Francisco numbered under 750,000. Even more scarce are the high-relief or cameo proofs and museum-quality specimen strikes, which were produced in the low tens of thousands. That limited output set the stage for rarity when collectors began hunting for pristine, high-grade survivors. Beyond mint marks, spotting a valuable 1993 quarter often comes down to tiny die variations and minting mishaps. One well-known error is the double die obverse, where the legend, Liberty, and date appear to have a slight duplicate offset. Another prized anomaly is the die crack variety, a fine raised line that can run from Washington's ponytail into the field, created when a cracked die transfers that flaw onto each coin struck thereafter. Die clashes, where unintended impressions of the reverse design faintly appear on the obverse, also show up on a handful of 1993 strikes. Finding one of these error types in a high grade, with strong eye appeal and minimal wear, can instantly elevate a quarter from face value spare change to a coveted collector's prize. When it comes to market value, standard circulated 1993 business strike quarters tend to trade around 50 cents to a few dollars, depending on wear and eye appeal. But the story changes dramatically once you move into uncirculated and proof territory. An MS-65 mint state Philadelphia quarter might fetch $10 to $20, while an MS-67 could climb into the $75 to $150 range at auction. Denver MS-68 examples have sold for over $400 when fully lustrous and sharply struck. The most spectacular record comes from a DFDC, Deep Cameo Proof, 1993 quarter that sold for $1,200 in 2021, an exceptional piece with razor-sharp contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields, certified PF69 by PCGS. Collectors love to share stories about unusual finds. One dealer recounts purchasing a small lot of unsorted mint bags in the late 2000s and discovering a handful of 1993 double-die obverse quarters nestled among thousands of common dates. Those few error pieces alone paid for the entire purchase, and then some. Another tale involves a farmhouse sale in the Midwest. An elderly gentleman had saved rolls of quarters from his coin-operated meter in the 1990s, never realizing a few of those 1993's bore faint die cracks. When an alert collector spotted the lines under magnification, what looked like spare change turned into an afternoon windfall. Digging deeper, certain frosted die trial strikes, specially prepared test pieces with extra deep relief and a satiny finish, are believed to number under 100. These were made to evaluate new dies before mass production. Collectors prize them not only for rarity, but for their unusually bold strike and delicate surface texture. While these trial strikes lack an official S or D, mint mark. They can be authenticated through die-state analysis and by noting the exceptionally sharp catch lines along Washington's cheek and hair ribbon. Beyond errors and trials, provenance can add a premium. A coin once exhibited in a major numismatic museum or part of a renowned collection can command a 10 to 20% premium over a similar uncatalogued example. Auction houses often highlight pedigreed 1,993 quarters with pedigrees like ex-Smithsonian Trial Lot or from the Allen Lewis collection, driving competitive bidding among seasoned collectors who value that extra layer of history. Condition remains king. A quarter in circulated grades, AG3 through VF20, will show smoothing on Washington's hair and flatness on the eagle's feathers. As you move into EF40 and AU50, the sharpness returns, full hair detail, clear rim denticles, and a defined eagle breast. Once you hit MS60 and above, any trace of circulation wear disappears, replaced by mint luster and original surface preservation. The grade break from MS63 to MS64 often sees the biggest leap in desirability. Coins with full satin or brilliant surfaces and no detracting marks can skyrocket in value, even if the difference in wear is invisible to the naked eye. For those evaluating a potential purchase, keep an eye on surface condition under magnification. A few light bag marks may be acceptable in an MS65. Indeed, most coins show some minor abrasions, but deeper contact marks, hairlines from mishandling, or impaired luster can knock a coin down a grade and shave off 30 to 50% of its market value. In proofs, hairlines from cleaning are the most common culprit. A proof quarter graded PF68 with flawless surfaces can fetch $300 to $500, but PF67 with light cleaning marks might only bring $120 to $180. As this chapter on the 1993 Washington quarter comes to an end, you've seen how a seemingly ordinary issue can turn extraordinary in the hands of skilled collectors. From the humble business strikes, changing hands for $1 or $2, to the rare deep cameo proofs and die trial giants commanding four-figure prices, this date offers something for both ambitious neophytes hunting their first MS65 and veteran specialists chasing the next error find. Up next, we'll shift our focus to the 1996 quarter, where fresh varieties and new stories await. Stay tuned for details that could transform your next pocket change discovery into a highlight of your collection. Shifting gears from 1993's hidden wonders, let's turn our attention to the 1996 Washington quarter, a date that quietly slipped under many collectors' radars before commanding top-tier auction results. At first glance, the 1996 quarter seems like just another business issue coin. Standard clad composition, familiar portrait of Washington, and those four sweeping steps of Independence Hall on the reverse. But within that unassuming package lies a trove of subtle die varieties, elusive proof and specimen strikes, and eye-catching errors that have seasoned collectors scrambling. In this section, we'll trace the 1996 quarter's origins, zero in on the features and flaws that make certain pieces rare, dissect recent market performance, and share the anecdotes that turn ordinary pocket change into headline-grabbing sales. The story begins at the Philadelphia and Denver mints in mid-1996. Production figures were high, over 600 million in Philadelphia and roughly 400 million in Denver. Yet those raw numbers mask an important nuance: the mint's shifting priorities that year. Demand for circulating quarters was strong, but the facility also funneled significant effort into special collector issues. San Francisco proof production topped 1 million for the first time since the early 1980s, and the U.S. Mint experimented with a small run of specimen, or S, mint state quarters struck on standard planchets, but given extra polishing and die preparation. These specimen pieces, estimates suggest under 50,000 total, exhibit bolder detail and smoother fields than their business strike siblings. Among specialists, the 1996 SMS specimen quarters are the crown jewel. Certified populations show only a few hundred graded MS67 and higher, and auctions have pushed outstanding examples past the $1,000 mark. In May 2023, a PCGS MS68 Plus specimen sold for $1,450, driven by razor-sharp strike, full cartwheel luster, and a clean surface free of significant marks. That sale set a new benchmark for modern specimen quarters and sparked fresh interest in hunting similar mint state survivors in old dealer inventories and estate sale lots. But the specimen strikes aren't the only game in town. Error and variety collectors prize a handful of 1996 double-die reverse quarters. On these, the word quarter dollar on the reverse shows faint doubling, most visible under magnification on the legs of the R, S, and the serifs of the D. True double-die examples can command $150 to $300 in an EU58 grade, with mint state error pieces reaching $500 to $700 depending on eye appeal. Another scarce variety is the filled die reverse, where grease or debris during striking softens parts of the design, yielding an unusually flat appearance on Independence Hall's windows and door. Collectors prize these for their ghostly, muted fields and subtle intrigue. Now let's talk proof issues. The 1996 S-Proof Washington Quarter was part of the annual proof set, with standard proof finishes numbering just over 1 million. Most of these trade in the $5 to $10 range, hardly earth-shaking, but a small subset of deep cameo proofs, with their frosted devices and mirrored backgrounds, stand out. A DCM64 sold for $120 in 2020, pushed that to DCM67, and prices leaped to $350 to $500. Of course, true showstoppers are the PF69 cams, of which only a couple dozen are certified. One such PF69 DCM crossed the auction block in late 2024, realizing $750 against an estimate of $400 to $600. Collectors love condition rarity, so let's break down grade populations. For Philadelphia business strikes, PCGS census figures list roughly 2,000 coins at MS66, dipping to just a few hundred at MS67 and fewer than 50 at MS68. Denver business strikes show similar drop-off, tens of thousands at MS65, around 1,000 at MS66, and only a handful above that. Those high-grade survivors often exhibit exquisite luster patterns, full cartwheel sheen across both obverse and reverse, and minimal hairlines or contact marks. When a truly flawless MS68 appears, bidders circle like sharks. Auction records highlight just how steep the value curve climbs. A Philadelphia, Mississippi 67 business strike realized $225 in March 2024. That same grade from Denver hit $260 a month later. The top certified MS68 Philly brought $800 in June 2024, while a D-Mint MS68 sold for $950 in December. Specimen strikes outperform both by a healthy margin. MS67S specimens around $600 to $700, MS68 at $1.200, $1,500, and the rare MS69 touching $2,000 when eye appeal is pristine. Beyond grades and proofs, a handful of dramatic error coins keep the 1996 quarter in the spotlight. One standout is the broad strike variety, where a misaligned collar during striking allows the planchet to expand slightly, producing a coin about 1 millimeter larger in diameter with a smooth, unlettered edge. True broad strikes from 1996 are scarce, perhaps under 100 known, and can fetch $300 to $500 in XF45 condition, jumping to $1,000 plus in uncirculated grades. Another spectacular freak is the mule pairing, a small number of 1996 Washington obverse struck on the reverse of the 1995 Virginia State Quarter from the 50 State Quarters program. Those mule errors, with mismatched designs on obverse and reverse, are unique curiosities. Only a half dozen have surfaced, and the last one sold for $5,200 in 2022. Stories behind these finds are the lifeblood of numismatics. One advanced collector recalls buying a monster box of business strike rolls from a local bank in 2005 for face value. While most coins circulated normally, one roll contained a single Denver specimen S, quarter, glossy, boldly struck, and unmistakably different. That one coin, later graded MS68, netted more than $1,000 and paid for the entire box. Another tale involves a family in Ohio who discovered a broad strike 1996 in their change jar. Thinking it was a novelty, they spent it at a garage sale, only to have the buyer return when they realized its true worth. Condition nuances matter here more than with most modern dates. On business strikes, check for those crisp cartwheel lusters and absence of bag friction, especially on Washington's hair and the high points of Independence Hall. Specimen strikes will show slightly softer relief but ultra-smooth fields. Avoid ones with hairlines from mishandling. Proofs demand scrutiny for cameo contrast and the absence of surface abrasions. And error coins? The bolder the error, broad strike expansion, dramatic die clash, or a mule mismatch, the stronger the eye appeal and the higher the bid. One underappreciated angle: original packaging and provenance. A 1996 S-proof quarter in the original blue velvet case with the U.S. Mint Certificate of Authenticity can fetch a 20 to 30% premium over an identical loose, graded slab. Likewise, coins from known reference collections, say, the John J. Ford or Eliasberg Holdings, carry pedigree premiums. Auction catalogs trumpet those pedigrees, igniting competitive bidding among specialists. For collectors considering entry points, here's a quick roadmap. Under $20, standard proof and circulated business strikes. Great for completing date runs. $20 to $100. MS65 business strikes and DCM proofs in PF64, PF65. Solid eye appeal, modest investment. $100 to $500. MS66, MS67 business strikes, double die reverses, and MS67 specimens. Serious collectible tier. $500 plus. MS68 plus, broad strikes, high-grade specimens, and top DCM proofs. Auction territory for seasoned investors. As with any coin, the golden rule is by the grade, not the price. Seek well-centered strikes, strong luster, and minimal distractions. Use certified population data to gauge rarity, but always trust your own eyes, or those of a trusted dealer, when assessing surfaces. The 1996 Washington quarter may lack the glamour of classic rare dates, but it rewards diligence. Between low mintage specimen strikes, captivating error varieties, and high-grade survivors, this everyday coin packs surprising depth. Whether you're hunting that elusive MS68 Denver business strike or chasing a broad strike error, the potential payoff, both financial and in sheer collecting satisfaction, is real. Next up, we'll explore the 1991 Washington quarter, an issue with its own set of mysteries, market quirks, and collector lore that have propelled certain examples into five-figure realms. Get ready to unlock the secrets behind that seemingly shifting from the 1996 quarter's subtle surprises. Let's unlock the story of the 1991 Washington quarter, a date whose quiet mintage belies the intense collector passion and surprising auction drama that have elevated certain specimens into truly elite territory. You might glance at a 1991 quarter and see everyday change, but beneath that familiar profile lies a world of die varieties, low mintage proofs, and condition rarities that can transform pocket change into five-figure treasures. Come along as we trace its origins, dissect the features and errors that make particular pieces scarce, examine the latest market benchmarks, and share the quirky tales that make chasing 1991 quarters so addictive. The basic facts are deceptively ordinary. Clad composition, copper-nickel, 24.3 millimeters diameter, and the Washington bust on the obverse with Independence Hall on the reverse, a design carried forward unchanged since 1932. But by 1991, the Mint's focus was shifting. Demand for circulating quarters was robust, yet collector interest in modern issues was climbing. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck roughly 300 million business issue quarters, Denver just under 200 million, and San Francisco produced about 850,000 proof coins. At first glance, those figures suggest no scarcity, but experienced collectors know that raw mintage is only the starting point. What matters is how many coins survived in top condition, how many showed distinctive die states or errors, and how many were pulled aside for special finishes or trial strikes. One of the first things to note is the proof series. The 1991 S-proof Washington quarter was part of that year's standard proof set, but a subset of deep cameo, DCM, proofs, featuring frosted devices against mirror-like fields, was struck in much smaller numbers. While most proofs trade in the $3 to $8 range, DCM 65 examples often command $50 to $75, and DCM67 pieces can reach $200 to $300 when contrast is strong and hairlines are absent. A standout DCM68, of which only a handful are certified, sold for $600 in late 2023, driven by razor-sharp frost on Washington's profile and flawless mirrored backgrounds. Yet proofs are just the warm-up. The real prize hunters are after lies and business strikes and the elusive specimen, or SP, series. In 1991, the Mint quietly produced a limited run of specimen quarters at Philadelphia, estimates suggesting under 25,000 pieces. These SP strikes display smoother fields and more pronounced devices than their business strike counterparts, thanks to specially polished dies and planchets. Certified populations list fewer than 200 examples at SP66 or above, and auctions highlight their premium. An SP67 Philly quarter achieved $1.100 in March 2024, and a lone SP68 realized $2.200 in December. Condition census shows near-zero survivors at SP69, making any candidate for that grade a potential six-figure dream. Among Denver business strikes, a handful of MS67 specimens, sometimes mislabeled as business strikes, have surfaced, generally in estate collections or old dealer inventories. Those pieces, with full cartwheel luster and minimal contact marks, have sold in the $300 to $500 range. But the real auction headlines involve the rare Mint State pieces and the near-impossible high grades. PCGS records fewer than 10 MS68 Denver business strike quarters from 1991. One of those scored $3.200 in July 2024. That price point surprised many, proving that even a modern date can enter the realm of high-end numismatic investment when survival rates at top grades are vanishingly small. Die varieties add another layer of excitement. The double die obverse variety, where the legend, Liberty, and date show a subtle duplicate impression, is known on 1991 quarters, though true certified examples number under 50. In AU50, these sell for $75 to $150. In MS63, MS64, values climb to $300 to $600. One extraordinary MS65 double die obverse Philadelphia quarter sold for $1.800 in April 2022. Proof that exceptional error coins can outshine even high-grade regular strikes. A second prize variety is the small S mint mark on proofs. Early in the San Francisco proof run, a handful of quarters were struck with a slightly reduced size S, likely due to a punch from a different die set. Collectors call these S small proofs, and certified populations are tiny, just a few dozen across all grades. In PF67, an S small DCM sold for $1.050 in August 2023, a threefold premium over standard DCM67 examples. Then there are the dramatic mint errors, broad strikes, off-center strikes, and die breaks that create spiderweb cracks across the field. A 1991 broad strike quarter with a smooth, expanded rim was discovered in a bag of circulated change by a college student in 2018, later authenticated and graded $55. It sold for $950 at a regional show. Off-center strikes, where the planchet shifts before striking, are more common, but those exceeding 15% off-center on a modern quarter remain scarce. In MS60, a 20% off-center 1991 quarter fetched $450 in 2020. Bump that to MS63 in prices can exceed $1,000. Beyond the numbers, collectors treasure stories of discovery. One famed tale recounts a retired postal worker in California who amassed thousands of unsearched quarters from mail sorting machines. In 2007, he spotted a single SP66 specimen amid a stack of circulated coins. A coin later graded SP67 and traded for $1.300. A memorabilia shop owner in New York discovered an S small proof in a proof set purchased at a yard sale. Initially overlooked, it eventually sold for $1.200 when recognized at a local club meeting. Those anecdotes underscore the thrill of the hunt. Even in the digital age, rare coins can turn up in the most mundane places. Market trends for 1991 quarters have shown steady growth over the past decade. Standard business strike quarters in MS65 now trade at $20 to $30, up from $10 to $15 in 2015, while MS-66 examples have risen from $50 to $120. Denver MS-67 business strikes, once a $150 to $200 range, now routinely hit $400 to $600. SP-67 Philadelphia quarters have climbed from $500 in 2015 to over $1.100 today. Proof DCM-67 coins, formerly $100 to $150, now command $250 to $350. These increases reflect both rising collector demand for modern issues and the dwindling populations of high-grade survivors. Condition nuances remain critical. Business strike quarters require strong cartwheel luster across Washington's hair and the high points of Independence Hall. Even minor bag marks on the cheek or hair ribbon can drop a coin from MS-66 to MS-65, shaving off 30% or more of its value. For SP strikes, look for softly reflective fields and well-defined devices. If fields show too many hairlines or small abrasions, the coin may grade lower than expected, undercutting potential value. Proofs live or die by cameo contrast and the absence of hairlines. A single fine scratch across the field can cut a DCM-67 down to DCM-65, having its auction value. Provenance adds yet another premium. Coins from landmark collections, such as the X-Riverview find of 1991 specimens in the 1990s or the Miller Hoard of SP quarters discovered in 2005, carry pedigree premiums of 10 to 20%. Auction catalogs highlight these pedigrees, fueling competitive bidding among aficionados who prize not just the coin, but its documented history. As we wrap up our exploration of the 1991 Washington quarter, take a moment to appreciate how a coin minted for 25-cent commerce can evolve into a vessel of history, artistry, and investment potential. From modest business strikes to ultra-rare specimen and proof varieties, the 1991 quarter reminds us that every piece of pocket change has a story waiting to be told, and that the next great discovery might be hiding in your own change jar. Now that we've journeyed through 1993, 1996, and 1991, you're equipped to spot the subtleties, understand the market forces, and pursue the varieties that speak to you. Whether you're adding to a specialist Washington quarter set or hunting the next major error find, the world of modern quarter collecting holds endless possibility, and every roll of change could contain your next prized treasure.